Welcome to the Healing Path. I'm Laura Donnelly, founder of the Healing Path Conversation Series and Dancing with Ease Body Brain Balance. People hire me to teach them to move out of pain and into healing. And one of the most important ways we can heal ourselves is to heal our relationship with money in our lives. So, this series of conversations with friends and colleagues offer a million perspectives on healing. And the thing that we have in common is the concept that healing begins inside ourselves with a decision to heal, and it expands outward from there. So today, my guest is Amber Duger, and I am so excited to introduce you to her. She is just a lovely woman, and meeting her helped me choose to heal some pieces of my life around money that I have carried my actually whole life. So I'll bring Amber into the studio and we'll just have a conversation.
Hello.
Hi, I'm so glad that you had time today to come and share your journey and how you worked with healing money in your life and how you support people who are ready to make that change in their lives.
Well, Laura, thank you so much for having me here. And for everyone that is watching, whether you're watching live right now with us or if you're listening to this at a further date, I just want to say thank you for having the courage to listen to this conversation, to be a part of this conversation. It is because of you that I truly am here, because I am here to eradicate financial anxiety and overwhelm. And like Laura was saying, money does contribute, unfortunately, to so many of our ailments and so many of our dis-ease. And the sooner that you can be in a position of settling your nervous system and really seeing money for what it is, which is a neutral resource, it truly is a life-changing experience. And I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to share how that is actually possible.
Yes, and what you said is so important. A neutral resource. Money is not good and money is not bad, but a lot of times we have internalized ideas about money that put it into either the good category or the bad category. And then it sets up a conflict in
Right.
If money is bad, then I shouldn't have a lot of money.
Right.
If money is bad and I want money, then I'm bad for wanting money. And it's a it's like
It's a
a
vicious
boulder
cycle.
rolling down the hill.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, my father was the one who actually caught me early on in my business when I said money is the root of all evil. And he said, Amber, I believe the saying is, this is literally the only time he ever commented on a Facebook post, the love of money is the root of all evil. I
Oh,
was like, oh, yeah. But it's just so interesting, though, how we immediately can just jump into it being, something that it's not. And it truly is, like you were saying, it's not good or bad. It's just, it is a conduit of our intentions. It's a representation of energy that allows us to facilitate that which we want to experience. And when we look at it from that perspective, we can start to uncover what may be stopping us from actually receiving money. And yes, if we're putting out signals that says, I hate money, or I hate wanting money, or, I'm not that person that wants money, then of course we're going to be receiving that situation. And there's definitely a way to move into an abundance mentality, but truly also marry it with healing your own nervous system and taking practical steps, and also using your discernment to really experience expansiveness within money. And it's possible to do so without feeling as if you're doing something wrong.
it's kind of amazing actually in terms of that, and the idea that money is a tool, a neutral tool, and like any other tool, like a hammer. I mean, a hammer you can use to build a house or tear down a house, and it just takes all the charge out of money. Now, I've done bookkeeping since I was a kid, worked, and my mom had her own business, and I worked at the front desk, and I, did all the stuff, and I just always did bookkeeping, and I helped a lot of people organize complete chaos in their finances. But there's a piece of this that I always did of what is the mess and how to organize the mess, but never how to project forward. And the cash flow I worked with people on was how to live within whatever their cash flow was, or just make more money, and that was always that kind of desperate thing. Okay, well, you just got to make more money if you want to buy a house, or whatever. And so when I first took your free masterclass, was the first time I'm like, oh, I kind of have been missing a piece of how to move the situation forward. I can make order out of chaos. I can create a system for living within the existing, but I didn't really, aside from just the general make more, have any way out of that pool until I learned about your work.
Well, I love that you shared that, because actually I've had several conversations today, and someone that I spoke with earlier that had also been a participant in our Profit for Keeps program. She has an MBA. She teaches on personal finance. We've had personal finance individuals actually go through our program, bookkeepers, accountants. And this is what I think a lot of people who aren't very familiar with the different components of money are a bit surprised by. Like, what? Why would they need that? Or what is it that is so different? And what it is that we purposely, like, I believe that the financial industry has purposely not included this in financial education, the little that we do get, if any, because it is the number one way to really be empowered around what really matters around money. So accounting and bookkeeping, as you know, Laura, is really about reconciling what's already happened and ensuring that we don't pay a penny more, a penny less in taxes. And that's all very, very important components of running a profitable business. And then there's this separate piece that even if you look at the C-suite, I came from corporate, and honestly, I thought I would never touch money again or finance again with a 10-foot pole. After leaving corporate, I left corporate because of this exact reason, that there is a conditioned thing within the financial industry to ensure that we have job security by making it as complicated as possible and boosting our egos with how smart we are and how we are the person in the room that is needed by the CEO or needed by even the CFO to explain what's going on. And I always found that to be very fear-based and really not understanding, why are we making this so complicated? This is not that complicated. It just isn't. We're making it very complicated. Part of it is because we were looking at money in a format that is really meant more for financial analysis on a top level and also doing your taxes. And so when we look at that, that's not going to really align with one who wants to live their life of freedom, that doesn't want to be working in corporate, that wants to be able to build a business of their own that allows them to have that freedom that they desire. And I was definitely included in that. And I wanted to have my own life outside of corporate. I felt my soul was dying in my cubicle every day. And when I first left corporate and I had actually moved to Bali, Indonesia, because I was needing to be completely away from that environment, I realized that there was a piece that just no one was showing me, which was, how much money do I actually need to make to run my business and to pay the things that I need to pay? Because I have a mortgage back at home, but I also have living expenses in Bali. I have a scheduling thing I need to pay for, and I have business coaching that I'm paying for. And it was when I realized that my business coach was encouraging me to start with a quote realistic revenue goal of 5K, when I knew that my calculation showed I need to make a minimum of 8K. I thought, why in the heck would I spend all this money on business coaching and on health coach certification and take this incredibly scary leap of leaving corporate to then strive for a number that's going to put me in debt? Like, it just did not make sense to me. And I also knew that my business coach was coming from a very beautiful space. She wasn't like she was trying to get me to fail. She hadn't been given this information either. So it is definitely a piece that's missing, not only within our industry, but also just around the education of something that is so critical to understand, which is, what is it that we need to actually be making in our business to live a life that we desire? And it's simply reverse engineering that number and looking at it from a perspective of expansiveness and permission to spend the money that comes in on these particular things versus feeling like, if I implement a budget, oh, I said the B word. Sorry, is this censored? Um, then we're going to all of a sudden go into scarcity thinking and scarcity mindset. And then on top of that, we have this relationship that perhaps we feel uncomfortable receiving money. So then we think, well, I don't want to be in a scarcity mindset, but I also don't want to be perceived as greedy. So how the heck are we supposed to navigate this? And this is when I realized that there was a really, really big need for marrying and combining the masculine and feminine aspects of money, recognizing that there is a pragmatic system and a practical system that can help us really get the information that gives us the discernment to understand how we want to navigate and move about our business and our life, but also being able to see that it actually is creating a gateway of awareness to what may be stopping us from settling our nervous system. And what you, Laura, have come across is going to be different than what I have come across, and what's different from, one of your friends in Profit for Keeps. It just depends on our own money story from our childhood, and honestly, the stories that our parents brought into the picture and our grandparents brought into the picture, and then we can go into epigenetics, we can go into all these different things. But at the end of the day, the more awareness and grace we have, we can start to really unfold an incredible journey of healing and excitement again. Like, we have a newfound excitement of, oh my gosh, I can actually go and do this thing that I thought was never attainable for me. So I love that you brought that up. And I do think that it is the missing piece. And I do believe that as we continue forward, it will no longer be that way. This will be something that is taught the moment that someone wants to start a business. Oh, have you implemented Profit for Keeps? Because this is the foundation for everything, regardless if you're just starting or you're, 10 years in business. It makes a big difference to have this information.
It does, because I think a lot of times, well, like I come from a family of people who have small businesses. Most of them were brick and mortar, um, but entrepreneurial and making life happen on their own the way it needs to happen. But something has come up for me working mostly online, which is the idea that I have to be always available. I have to, because the internet is always available.
Mm.
I need to. I'm not real driven anymore, but it was an aspect of my personality in the earlier days. But also it's a mind space of having to be always available, because something might come up, and if I miss it, I'm not able to take advantage of it, or a client needs something. And so this summer, for the first time, and I really think that it was the beginning of Profit for Keeps. And what I really want to share with people is there's no right way to go through the program. And I sort of got this from your workshop, which we'll share with people, is because my roadblocks, so to speak, are my own, and I have to deal with them. But this summer, it's really hot where I live, and I just couldn't work. I couldn't open my computer. I didn't. I mean, I could, but I would go on 5 minutes and I would close it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would go outside and I would watch the birds. I would read a book. And I had a really close family member pass away, and I think I was grieving.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't plan to spend 2 months grieving. But the idea that I am on a different path and that I deserve to take time for myself, which is pretty much what I teach people, but that sometimes healing is messy. And so I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I have some money set aside in savings. I'm going to use it to carry me through this space. And then when the weather cools off and I can think again, I'm going to see where I want to start. And maybe I want to start in a different place.
Mm.
Maybe I want to structure my business differently so that it's not a baby. I don't have to wake up in the middle of the night for it. It doesn't.
Right.
And so that I'm like, okay, I can do this and I can do this. And one of my favorite things, I think you told us to start to think of a list of things we would want to do with extra money once we got things organized. You should see my list of where I want to travel.
Oh, I love it. Can you think of just a couple places off the top of
Oh,
your head?
it's all kinds of places in the West. I want to go to Idaho. I have a list of fun and amazing road stops across uh, into Arizona, like through New Mexico and
Yeah.
Texas. I mean, it's just silly stuff, right? Mostly car trips, easy stuff. But I wouldn't have even put it on the this would be fun to do list. I just wouldn't have.
Mm,
I wouldn't have given myself time
right.
to have a this would be fun to do list because I, in my old, okay, Midwestern Puritan Stoic disorder, get the hard stuff done first, make sure it's done before you play.
Hmm.
And thinking about playing equals playing in the old mindset. Instead of thinking about playing as, oh, this is a goal, this is a reward, I could have a weekend trip when I get this part of my business set up the way I want to have it set up. I can take time off because I have planned for that. And I can take a 3-day, 4-day weekend. You know, I don't have to take 6 months to go somewhere. Okay, Amber will be right back, I'm sure, because the internet is crazy. But here she comes, right
I'm
back.
back. I don't know what just happened.
I don't know either, but it's okay because the internet is awesome and allows us to connect over time and distance, and it is just as glitchy as it ever was. So anyway, those are some things I got from starting to work with you in terms of letting myself have permission to think differently. That was the first thing.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Laura, because, early on in my business, this was one thing that I always started off the conversation with is let's just assume that your debt is paid off and you have money in the bank for savings and for 6 months of living expenses. What is it you want to do with the extra money in your business? And it truly was a question that 99% of the people I spoke about had truly not thought about. And it's one of those things that I think because our system is so caught in this loop of feeling safe and secure, and this is just ingrained in our body, our sacral system, it really wants to feel rooted and grounded and secure. And when we don't feel that, it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to think outside of that space because we want to feel that safety. And when I was in business school, I was the only female in the business classes for finance. And I was around a lot of masculine energy, and that's fine. I'm good with that. Like it's okay. They were talking about how to make something more profitable. And they were already profitable on this graph. And I was just thinking to myself, well, if you're already profitable, what exactly are you doing with the extra profit? Like, what is it for? And I will never forget the look in my professor's face. Well, because it's more. Like, he didn't have a good answer for me. He didn't have a good answer. And I thought, well, why are we going and spending all of this time and energy on something that we don't even really have a good reason to be focusing on? And then I was also going to other courses on economics around sustainability and truly, focusing on what we really need versus just always striving for more. And I think it's important to have an expansive mentality, because we are here to improve on ourselves and really expand as humans and as a collective consciousness to really raise that and to improve. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I didn't really understand what that was for. And then I thought, well, if I'm leaving corporate because I don't want to be stuck in this cubicle all the time, and I am really not enjoying my day-to-day life, and this is like a life for me to really love and enjoy, why not have a business that provides me with that? And when we have a business that truly aligns with our dreams and our purpose and our journey, we have enough money for everything that we need, that we want. And that in itself is sustainability. So anyone watching this, I highly encourage you to ask yourself that question and think through, what is it that I would do? And even remove any sort of, give yourself a lot of grace as you go through this. And you may have, little things that pop up going, well, that's never going to happen. Or, yeah, why even put yourself in that position of thinking that way? Because I can tell you right now, it is absolutely possible. And it is a journey that does not have a timeline. Some people have a longer journey than others, but it's such a beautiful journey to really start to feel right now that you are okay, that right now you have everything you need. And those are things that I think we kind of miss out on when we're focusing on the end goal because we aren't enjoying the moment. And so I think, Laura, you just represent such a beautiful, example of that in terms of allowing yourself to rest this summer and allowing yourself to live what you teach and start to slowly integrate all of this and actually give yourself a moment to say, well, instead of just keep on writing and writing and writing, having no idea if I've looked at the map to see where I want to go, you stopped and you gave yourself a little bit of time, and then you checked your map and you checked your compass and you went, actually, maybe I actually want to be going this direction. And giving yourself the permission of that space is incredible financial self-care.
It was unintended.
Mm.
And so the thing that was interesting about it is that when I realized I was in the middle of it, I'm like, my old thing would be to panic and force myself back to work, whether I was doing a good job or not. And this time I said, it's going to be okay. I have a plan. And Stacy wrote on here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but
oh yeah, that was so different about Profit Keeps for me. The first step of allowing me to dream. That's amazing. I love that, Stacy. Thank you. I'm so glad that you did. I'd love to know like what you dreamed about too, Stacy. If you want to even put a couple things down, it'd be amazing.
Pop that up and we'll show it up if we want.
Yeah.
And it is also for me this idea that I could get off this treadmill of feast or famine. And the thing is, this is pretty much being self-employed. Either you're so busy that you can hardly keep going because you have too much work, but you feel like you can't turn anything down because a blank space is coming.
Yeah.
And you have to, and then for me, my response is, okay, well, whatever profit I make, I have to hold for the next blank space. And instead of maybe investing in something or buying a new piece of software, we talked about AppSumo and our small addiction to very cool new software. But I would just say, only if I know I'm secure, can I trust myself to invest in that? And so to say, okay, to know what is the number I need to save to get through a dry spell, and to have a plan to move towards that, and a plan to eliminate debt, because credit cards are great for a dry spell. But then you got to pay them back later. Yeah. You have to make even more money than you made before. So I was really in it was like a never-ending seesaw. And just the very idea I could get over this. Now, what did Stacy say? She said she has a dream. We put that up there. It's
Take
kind of
family members to town in Spain that my grandma's family's from. Stacy, that's awesome. I love that. That's also a dream of mine to go to Spain because my grandmother's side is from Spain as well. But we're seventh generation New Mexicans, so we've been here a while.
been there a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is very fun. I was once in Switzerland, and somebody started talking to my mom, and I were there, and they started talking to us in Polish because they recognized that we were originally from
Wow.
someplace near where people they knew looked like us. Of course, I know one word in Polish, punchki.
I know Volkic.
uh,
It means elbow.
punchki is donut. My grandpa taught me that.
Okay.
So that is an idea, to go back where your people are from, and also to share with people you care about. One of the most uh, lovely stories was that you shared was about your brother reworking his financial thing in order to buy a house and have a baby. Have the security as an independent person who's working just with their own stuff,
Mhm.
to be able to have, okay, it takes courage. A lot of people have a baby and they quit whatever their dream is and they go to a secure job
Yeah.
because they need this thing. And to have the idea that I could share with people that I know who are stuck in a place that they don't want to be because they're afraid to step out, or who have stepped out but they're on a tremendous treadmill of just more and more and more, and if expenses go up, then I have to work more to make more, and to be able to say, "Oh, breathe, there's a way." And you're going to talk more about that on your free masterclasses in September, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, in our masterclass, what we're really wanting to do is for anyone who is either thinking of starting a business or has a business and is feeling really overwhelmed by the thought of paying yourself consistently when you have variable income, or being able to feel confident in the number that you're striving for in terms of your revenue number, and how to actually organize the money when it comes in. Like, what do you do with it? Do you have a separate bank account? Do you have, different bank accounts depending on how many different maybe revenue streams you have going on? There's all sorts of different questions that people have. And so this masterclass was really developed to answer a lot of the questions I was seeing all of the time around how to feel more confident, calm, and peaceful around cash flow and money in the business. And I would say one of the biggest differences that we have with this masterclass is I have been in the online space for a long time, and I am very familiar with the whole have a webinar goes to the program, et cetera, et cetera. And anytime that you go on these webinars, they are just inundating you with information to get you confused so that you just buy the program so you can understand what they're talking about. And that is definitely not my style. I think that it's really important to, a big part of my purpose is providing guidance and education around things that others have not had, I think, not the ability, but I think not the awareness that it's necessary to teach it, that it's not a bad thing for people to understand their money and to understand their numbers. I don't want anyone dependent on me. I want everyone to be in an empowered space so that you can truly expand into what you're meant to be doing and have that creative expansiveness while having your nervous system settled and healed. And the more that we can do that collectively as a human race, the more that we will all benefit. And so this masterclass really is full of information to really allow you to see that, one, it's actually possible for you to run a profitable, sustainable business, that it's possible for you to feel like you actually have a really good handle on your money, and that you don't need to be dependent on someone to feel that way. And we touch on the 5 components of running a profitable, sustainable business. We have an incredible gift for those that attend, because this one thing that we don't do is replays. And the reason that we don't do replays is because I, for one, have very rarely watched a replay. And I truly am doing this as a service to you, to give yourself the gift of financial self-care by putting aside the time and coming. And we have 3 different dates and 3 different times of the day, so that there's really a good chance that you can attend, so that you can really allow yourself that space. And so with this masterclass, you're given the gift of something that I would say is, we've surveyed everyone in our last round of Profit for Keeps and asked, like, what is the most valuable thing? And there were one of 2 answers. One was calls with Coach Kevin, which is my little brother. And the other was this spreadsheet that allows you to calculate your revenue goal. And so we give a modified version of that spreadsheet so that you have the ability to list all of your personal expenses, including ones that are not monthly, and anything else that you want to expand into, and even be able to run different types of revenue goals based on that, as well as your business expenses, so that you can have a revenue goal that is calculated with confidence that it's actually covering the things that you really care about. And you can even create different revenue goals so that you can say, okay, what do I really need to be making just to make sure that I'm not going further into debt, for example? And then you can look at it as, well, what would it be if I did have those regular trips around the Southwest and to Spain and to different things that I want to do? What would that look like? And then you can start looking at your pricing and your packaging, and you can go, oh, just like Laura did this summer, I wonder if I want to be doing things a little differently. And it may be something that happens very quickly for you. It may take several months. It just depends on what your journey is meant to be. But regardless, there's never a time that you're too late, or that you're too far down this path. It's never going to work for you. I believe wholeheartedly that there's a reason that you're watching this right now or listening to this right now, that there's a moment right now that is really presenting you with an opportunity to do something differently and to step into being empowered versus having an element of fear behind it, which is very natural, by the way. So that's also really important to give yourself that grace as you go through this. But know that there is something available to allow you to feel differently about money, about the cash that comes in, about charging, about receiving. It's all interconnected. And it's also very interconnected with with health and food. So, and with your body. And so when we start to feel a settled nervous system, things start to become less stagnant in the body. There's more free flow in the body, and you start to feel more vibrant. And it allows you to also continue to pursue that journey of healing for yourself.
It's also a shift in your energy. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when you're well, actually this happened during COVID, is everybody's stress level went up. And then, okay, well, COVID went away and the stress level came down just a little bit, but it didn't ever go back to where it was before COVID.
Right.
And money stress is the same thing. If money stress is there, it's kind of like it's kind of like tinnitus in your ear. It kind of happens all the time. And it takes effort to not give into it. And it takes effort to do whatever you have to do with this chatter happening all the time. And so it's very interesting for what you say. And I keep thinking all the time today, it's like I talk about what I do as dancing with ease, which is ease is being in alignment and in tune with your body. And a lot of times if people just say money, they just went out of attunement, right? Mm. So I kind of been practicing, where am I at ease and what happens to me when I say the word money? Mm. And I can soften my reaction to it, but not totally. So I have more work to do. It's fine.
Well, don't we all? I mean, we all will continuously have work to do until we are no longer in a human body.
I think you're right, which is one of the reasons I knew I could. It's one of the reasons I know I could work with you, because your philosophy is about holistic change in the whole system, and And one of the most important things for my work is to stop going in the direction that you know is creating more tension for yourself. And that doesn't even mean changing direction, doesn't mean doing anything different. It just means stop going that way, that tight way, that way. Just stop. And stopping is the first step to healing. And so then I'm still doing a lot of things I was doing before I took your master class and before I joined Profit for Keeps. But I'm also doing some different things. And I'm also playing with different ways to do things, which I would have before, instead of giving myself the permission to kind of do that, explore with ease. How does this feel? How does that feel? What if I did this instead, going this direction? And knowing it will be okay, knowing that I can make the adjustments and that the money that I have is here to support me to do that. It's not something that I have to hoard and be afraid of losing. It's not something that I have to waste or, okay, see, that's another one. Not good to waste money in my lexicon. And so I think that's another thing that comes up for people working with you is all these hidden rules and ideas about money. Like you said at the very beginning, about where your father fixed the quote for you, that the quote is not money is the root of all evil, but people take it that way so often. And then to find that cross wire, it's like a cross wire, which causes a fuse in a bad circuit and it can't flow. You uncross that and then the energy can flow again. And that's one of the things I think about that makes changing your money habits, brings about better mental health and more happiness and joy in your life.
Could not agree more.
The link at the bottom is how to find more information about the free masterclasses that are happening in the middle of September. So you have time to fix your calendar, which I love, time to fix my calendar. And this, let's see, I'll do this other one. This is how to reach Amber in general for all the things that she does. And is there anything you want to just close with?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank everyone for your time and for listening in on this conversation and being part of this movement that I really call Profit for Joy. Laura's list of travel and Stacy's list of travel, that is all components of what I call Profit for Joy, which is really relating back to that answer that I wanted back when I was in business school, which was, what is that for? And we're here to experience joy. We're here to elevate ourselves and to understand ourselves more and to really help each other more become better. And what I mean by better is really at peace and feeling fulfilled and enjoying life in the moment. And so if this is something that resonates with you, and if you've been coming across time and time again, maybe little nudges or signs that, maybe this is the time that I actually take that out of the pile of, I don't want to deal with that today, and move it into just a space of financial self-care and really be surrounded by those that both are in the journey right now and also embarking on this for the first time. I encourage you to attend one of our masterclass dates, and Laura has the link for you below. I highly encourage you to use that link to just discover what you may not even realize is available to you. And it is with my whole heart that I am just grateful that you're considering that and that you are in the process of really healing your own system and your own story around money, because the more that we can do that together, the more that we can really step into a life of pure bliss and joy. And so for that, I want to thank you. And thank you, Laura, so much for having me on today. And I just look forward to seeing everyone in the masterclass. We have dates on September 12th, 14th, and 16th. So those are like Tuesday in the middle of the day, Thursday later in the day, and then also Saturday morning. So if those dates during the week are just too busy, then you can just enjoy a beautiful Saturday morning of financial self-care.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Amber. It has been great sharing some time with you and sharing a little bit more of your story. And again, reach out. If this is something that feels good for you, reach out, because really it has the ability to change how you do everything.
Thank you again.
Take care.
Bye.